Hi students, welcome back to computer class. So in the last class we have just started parts of an email window and we have go through the email messages, that is different folders are there: inbox, sent, trash, drafts, etc. And today we are going to learn how to compose an email. So clicking on compose opens a window that contains the various options for writing an email. So when you open your Google Mail, you can see an option compose there. So when you click on that compose option, a new window appear. And the email consists of a message, images, files, or any combination of this. The compose email window, it will be explained in the coming slide. So we have learned that a new window will appear when you click on the compose button, and so when we can also attach many files, that is we can also attach images, audios, videos, etc. through the email. And there are many options here. First is recipient. Just as the sender needs an email address to send email, the recipient also needs to have a valid email address. The email address of the recipient is entered here. So first one you will be seeing that is the recipient area. In that recipient's area you have to type the email address of the recipients. That means to whom you are sending the email. A valid address should be typed in the recipient's area. Next is the subject line. When writing an email, there is a field for entering the subject just below the field provided for entering the recipient's email address. So below the recipient's email address area, you can see a subject line. So there you have to type the subject. The subject line gives the recipient an idea of what the email is about. So you have to write the subject also, then only it will be easy for the recipient to understand what is the email about. And in the inbox, the text that is displayed with the sender's name and the subject line. Some examples are: happy birthday Lada, invitation for New Year celebration. That is, if we are giving some subject in the subject line, that subject will be also displayed when the receiver get the inbox. So the receiver will get an idea of what the email consists of, what the email contains. Next is the email body. This is where the contents of the email are typed. It could be as text as well as images. So email body means it is the area where the email have to be typed. It can be text or it can be images, anything. Formatting the text means you can format the email text. That means we have learned about formatting in MS Word and PowerPoint. So that means you are making the text more beautiful or more attractive. So that is formatting the text. So such options can be seen in formatting the text option. Next is attachments. Attachments can be pictures, videos, audio files, etc. that can be sent with the email messages. We have already said that the email can consist of many things, that is pictures, videos, etc. and all these things are sent as attachment. So this attachments mean it can be pictures, videos, audios, etc. So these are the different parts that you can see when you click on compose option. Next is there are two main options, CC and BCC for the recipient's field while sending email. CC means it is carbon copy and BCC means blind carbon copy. So you can see the CC and BCC options in the recipient's field. CC is a way of making a copy of an email to a person other than the recipient. The recipient will know a person is copied on the email. If we have to send the same mail to many person, we can type the email ID there, and CC means the receiver will know that the same email is sent to many other person. Next, BCC means it allows the user to do the same thing. That means the user can send the mail to multiple persons without the recipient knowing that the third person has been sent a copy. That means if we want that recipients must recipient should not know that a copy of the same thing is sent to a third person, we are using this BCC. And CC means all the recipients can know that we have sent these mails to many other person. That is carbon copy, and blind carbon copy means the third person will not know. Then the option that appear while replying to an email are similar to the ones in the compose window. One or more than one person is CC'd on the email. An extra option called reply all is displayed, which allows the user to which allows the reply to be sent to all in the email thread. That means you can see a reply all option rather than reply. So if you click on the reply all button, then the email will be sent to all, or the reply will be sent to all the recipients. Next, settings. Settings contain many options such as modifying how the inbox looks, changing your password, blocking spam emails, setting a signature, and so on. So you can also see the option settings, and inside that setting option you can modify how the inbox looks like, and also you can change the password, block emails, block spam emails, etc. in the settings option. And we came to the term signature. An email signature is a fixed text at the end of the email mentioning the name of the sender, the information they wish to include. Example of email signature is given in your textbook. That means signature means as we write normally in a paper or we write in a letter, we can see the signatures, and the same thing is the signature inside an email. That is, you can add the name of the sender with some information that they wish to include. So you can see the example in your textbook, and below that you can see a column, a table, and it is acronyms. That is, billions of emails are exchanged throughout the world, so there are some commonly used phrases which have short forms, that is known as acronyms. This should be understood by both the sender and recipient. Some of these are PFA means please find attachment. Then some attachments will be there, and you can easily type PFA for the receiver to understand that an attachment is there. So PFA means please find attachment. ASAP means as soon as possible. So many acronyms are there, and their meanings are given in your textbook. So you have to study that. And let us have a look on how can we compose an email. So this is the window that appear when clicking on the compose option. Here you can type the email, the address of the receiver. Here I am typing the email address. So you can type your email address here, and this is the subject line. You can type the subject, and this is the email body. Here you can type the contents, and also you can format the option. For formatting, you have to first select the thing that you have to format, and here there are many options there. Here bold, italics, underline, and also we can change the font also. So these are the formatting option. And here you can send emojis, and you can also attach here. This is the option to attach the email, to attach your anything, picture, videos, image, audios, etc. So for attaching, you have to click on this attach option. And we have learned about CC and BCC. So here you can see the CC and BCC option there. If you want the receiver to know that the copy is sent to a third person, you can click on the CC. When clicking on the CC, you can see a new line also appear there, and you have to type the address of the receiver here. When you click on BCC also, you can see that a new line appear, and you can type the blind carbon copy to whom we have to send. After this all the things, you can click on the send option, and you will be seeing the message sent on a box here with message sent. So next is some email etiquettes, and these are the good practices that you have to follow while sending or writing an email. This topic we will discuss in the interactive session. And now we are moving to the next chapter, that is introduction to coding. Introduction to coding. So when a command is given to a computer, it performs that task. Think of performing the following task on a computer. That means if we are giving some task to computer, if we are performing any operation on the computer will perform that task in a correct manner. Okay, so computer coding is the process of giving commands to the computer in a language it understands in order to perform a particular task. So whatever things that we are telling to the computer understand only in its own language. So the coding is the process of giving command to the computer in a language it understands in order to perform a particular task. So whatever thing that we are giving to the computer understood it only in its computer language. So coding is the process of giving commands to the computer in a language that it understands in order to perform that task. And a computer is always able to perform tasks accurately within seconds. We all know that whatever things that we are doing on a computer will perform the task accurately and within seconds. This is possible because instructions have been given to the computer to perform a task for a certain input and show the desired output. So the computer performs the task for a given input and give the desired output. The instructions have to be given in a special language that the computer understands. These instructions are called code. So we learned that what is coding. Coding is the process of giving commands to the computer. And what is code? Code is the instruction that is given to the computer in a special language that the computer understands. The coding language is understood by the computer and that language is known as code. So code is used in not only in computers but also on other electronic devices such as smartphone, laptop, tablet. So not only the computer understands the code, but there are almost all the electronic equipments like mobile phones, laptops, smartphones, and even washing machine, etc. And that all electronic things need code to understood. So all these equipments work on the basis of the code. In fact, the extent to which code surrounds us is fascinating and surprising. So it is very interesting to learn coding, and all the things around us works on code. So code is the instruction that is given to the computer in a special language that the computer understood. Next is machines strictly obey the instructions given to them. These instructions have to be given in a step-by-step manner and have to focus on solving the problem at hand. So a good algorithm should have some qualities, that is, it needs to perform the task or solve the problem at hand. The steps should be in order. So these are the two qualities that a good algorithm should have. First is it needs to perform the task or solve the problem at hand, and the steps should be in order. We have learned that it is a step-by-step process. So algorithm is a step-by-step process and it is a set of instruction that is used to achieve the desired output. And the qualities of a good algorithms are it needs to perform the task or solve the problems at hand, and the steps should be in order. So writing an algorithm means it is used in all aspects of daily life. We can only give match the algorithm not only to the computer, we can also write algorithms in our daily in our day-to-day life. They precisely state the steps to be taken to solve a problem or reach a goal. So a goal must be there, and we have to write the step-by-step things that we need to solve the problem. As the steps are expressed in detail, confusion is easily ruled out. Therefore, it is very useful to write an algorithm before writing the code. So we learned that a code is a language that the computer understood, and we also learned that algorithm is a set of instruction that is to be written step by step. So if the algorithm is explained very detailed, there will not be any confusion while writing the or while doing the code. So before we write the code, there must be an algorithm. So that algorithm must be in detail and it should be in an order. So then only it will be easy to write the code. So a simple algorithm that is related to our daily life is our goal is drinking water from the water bottle. So first step is you have to take the water bottle in your hand. That is step 1. Take the water bottle in your hands and hold. So first step is take the water bottle in your hand and hold. Step 2 is open the lid. You have to open the lid of the bottle. Step 3, drink water. Step 4, close the lid. Step 5, put the water bottle back to its place carefully. So this is an simple algorithm written for drinking water from the water bottle. So it is easily understood when we look at this algorithm. So there are no confusions while looking into this algorithm. That is, an algorithm should be like this. It must be very detailedly written so that confusion is easily rolled out. Next example is given in your textbook, that is adding two numbers using a calculator. First step is you have to enter the first number, then you have to click the plus symbol, then you have to enter the second number, and the last step is click the equal to symbol. So that is the two easy algorithms given as examples. Next is debugging. As the name suggests, what is bug? Bug is an insect. So what is debugging means? We know that many mistakes will happen when we do many things. So these mistakes are made while writing a sentence or solving a math problem. Mistakes are made while writing an algorithms and code too. We know that many mistakes can happen. So while writing an algorithm, there must be mistake, and that mistake will be seen in your codes too. So these errors in a code are known as bugs. The errors in a code are called bugs. A buggy code will either show an error or not work at all. Therefore, it is important that the code is bug free. So when there is a bug in a code or algorithm, sometimes the code will not work, or it shows that there is an error. So our code should be bug free. We must find the bugs and we should eliminate the bugs. Debugging means there is an example in your textbook, that is Alok is decorating the house as today is his brother's birthday. He gets a banner in which letter cards have to be joined together with the given ribbon. So in your textbook you can see a banner happy birthday. There the letters by mistake the letters have rearranged, and he suddenly understood that and he make it correctly. So below that you can see a table, that is Amita's algorithm and Suresh's algorithm, that is how to switch on a personal computer. The teacher has asked to write an algorithm how to switch on a personal computer, and you have to go through that algorithm and you have to decide which algorithm should be selected, Amita's algorithm or Suresh's algorithm. So we'll meet in the interactive session. Thank you. Have a nice day.